right, boys, we are back, and the first round is officially set, which means it's time for us to argue, overreact, and probably disrespect a few teams along the way. We're going to give our full, unfiltered thoughts on every matchup, who's bounced early, and who's going to go on our absolute heating run. We will go over every matchup in the first round and separate the East and the West into two different episodes. We'll start off with the West. If you love hockey talk and content, you can follow the rink on social media platforms such as Instagram, TikTok, Facebook, and YouTube. Huge shout out to our sponsor, Connected Room, and today we got Jordan with me. How you doing tonight, buddy?
Good. It's Friday, going into the weekend, and first round of the playoffs. They're about to start.
Baby.
Can't get better than this.
Best time of year. Although with the way they have the first round scheduled, we'll be watching playoff hockey probably in July with all these weird breaks they've added into matchups here and there. But
yeah, building scheduling. I think building scheduling's really got in the way over the last few years, and it's really amplified of late, and this year especially. You see a lot of those 2-day breaks even in the first round, which to me isn't ideal. And you made these brackets so the division so that you don't have the long travel and shouldn't have to worry about that, and then you're still getting 2 days off. I don't know.
Yeah, like it doesn't make sense to me. The whole idea of having these divisions was to spark division rivalries and for travel to be a little bit better within the first few rounds. Yep. But then you look at for example, just the Tampa Montreal series, having no Saturday night game is criminal array as it is for that. But then not even, I just realized today, no Canadian teams have a Saturday night game in the first round. It's absolutely bullshit. Like it's just
hockey night in Canada is going to be all American teams.
Yeah, like it makes zero sense to me whatsoever. But whatever. We're living in Gary Bettman's world, I guess.
It's also the big TV deals out of the States, right? Like the TNT and NBC is paying the big bucks for broadcasting, and that they're going to get priority. Unfortunately,
I saw too, though. Apparently, like I don't know if it's true or not, but I saw that Sportsnet actually paid the most out of everybody, and they got like bent over backwards on what they're actually going to be allowed to, what days they actually got. But yeah, let's dive into some of these matchups. Like I said, we're going to start with the West here, and we'll do the East in a separate little episode to split it up nicely. So let's start with the first one. We got Edmonton versus the Los Angeles Kings. And, whoever got Colorado was going to get the short end of the stick here. But I just laughed at the fact that, correct me if I'm wrong, Los Angeles first had to go against Edmonton before, and then they sneak in again, and now they're getting Colorado.
Yeah, I think I saw something along the lines where the Kings have played Edmonton like the last 4 years in the first round and have lost all their first round matchups. And now they avoided Edmonton and got Colorado.
So just a quick little head-to-head notes for this one. Colorado was 3-0-0 against LA this season. And, Colorado is the President's Trophy winning team. So their goals for were 3.65, goals against of 2.43, and a power play percentage of 17.4, which, by the way, is actually surprisingly kind of low for a team with that much firepower on it. The penalty kill, though, lights out at 84%. They beat LA in almost every single one of these categories. In your opinion, what do you think the LA Kings even have to try to do to try to get Colorado off their game? If anything.
It's a good question. I was just watching the Flames last night against the Kings in a game that actually mattered for LA, and they lose to the team that's now picking fourth in the NHL draft 3-1. They couldn't score. They couldn't score on a team who was starting an AHL goalie for his first ever NHL start. They scored 1 goal. Yeah. If you're going to play Colorado, you got to score with them. You got to be able to put the puck in the back of the net. Colorado's weakest point, even though their goaltending has been good, is probably their goaltenders, right? Like that's probably what you would point out would be the weakest. But their goalies have been better this year for sure.
Yeah.
But if LA can't put the puck in there, it's not going to matter. They brought Panarin in there mid-season. I really like that ad for him. It seemed to spark them and get them into the playoffs, right? Like before that, you thought for sure they were missing, but it's not going to be enough, I don't think.
No, I look at this, and as sad as it is to say, I don't give LA any chance whatsoever, and it sucks because Kopitar, I believe, right? Announced retirement.
Yeah.
So this is his last playoff run, and he's the poor guy. Like I said, we just mentioned, like the short end of the stick for 4 years, and now they're going to get the short end of the stick again. But
Yeah.
that's also a tribute to their own issues where they can't seem to get into the playoffs without getting in through a wild card spot. And you look over at that west side there, and it's not exactly the strongest in the league per se. And like they just snuck in again with the wild card spot, and for a while there we were making fun of it. It's like no one wanted the wild card spot the way everyone was bouncing back and forth between there.
Yeah.
But you look at LA's lineup, and it's great. Yes, they added Panarin, and man, if they didn't add Panarin, I have no idea where they would be in the series, even worse off than they already are. But the depth on this team just doesn't match Colorado. Colorado, I mean, in my opinion, is the deepest team in the playoffs this year. I mean, when you have a guy like Nazem Kadri right now centering your third line,
Yeah.
you're there's not much you can do. Like
Yeah.
it's just it might be a quick one. I don't know. I'm hoping LA at least gives a little bit of an effort, or at least bangs Colorado up a little bit for moving on forward to the next round. But in my opinion, here this is going to be an easy walk for Colorado, and I think they're coming into the playoffs almost 100% healthy. I believe. I
Yeah.
think everyone's back, right? Like Landeskog is playing and everything, and I think Manson was hurt for a little bit too. But I'm pretty sure they're all coming back.
Yeah.
Fully
Lekkonen's
healthy.
back. Makar's back. The most important position in hockey is the center ice position. If you have good deep center ice position, usually you're a good team. They got McKinnon. They got Nelson. They got Kadri. They got Jury.
Like what else are you gonna do about that?
Yeah.
There's not much LA can do. So like we'll also like say who we think we're gonna win and how many games. I'm going Colorado in 5. I'll give the benefit of the doubt to good old Kopitar for being able to sneak a game out here or there, or here one game. But other than that,
the sympathy Kopitar game, eh?
Yeah, I'm giving one sympathy game to
nice send off. Hopefully, at least it's a home win.
Yeah, I don't think they're going to do much.
Yeah.
How about you? What do you think?
I got Colorado in 3. I think LA just calls it after that. Yeah.
Just give up. They're just going to leave the ice.
We're not even showing up for the 4th game. We're good. Thanks.
Screw it. We're good. Have a good day.
Yeah, obviously in 4, but I don't.
There's not much you can do here.
Yeah.
Which it's funny because you go from that, which is going to be a really lopsided game, but then you come to the next matchup here, Dallas, Minnesota. Now this could be an interesting series. I honestly think this might be a little bit more of a coin flip than people give it credit for. The records this year, they were pretty even. I mean, Minnesota was 2-1, but I think one of those games Dallas lost was in a shootout or overtime. So basically Dallas going 1-1 across the board. They both have very similar stat lines. Goals for Dallas is at 3.29, Minnesota at a 3.27. Goals against Dallas 2.69 versus a 2.83 on Minnesota. Power play percentage 28.9 for Dallas, 25% for Minnesota. Penalty kill 81% for Dallas, 78.8 for Minnesota. These are two very even teams.
Yes.
What's your thoughts on this one?
I think this will be the best series in the Western Conference.
Yeah.
I think both teams are gritty. They play with a lot of bite. They are able to score goals. Both teams can score goals. Minnesota have the Foligno brothers who aren't going to be scared to mix it up a bit and try and get in Dallas's face and get them going. And that's going to play right into Jamie Benn's game. Benn's going to love that. Benn's going to probably toe the line. The only thing with Dallas is you're hoping that he doesn't step over that line, right? Because Benn's known to kind of do that. And if he does that, then they could be in trouble.
100%. I agree with that. Then I don't, you look at the rosters that these guys have. And, Minnesota made a big ad this year in acquiring Quinn Hughes there. So you look at the star power on these teams, and I mean Dallas is just absolutely loaded up front. You got Wyatt Johnson, Mikko Rantanen, Jason Robertson, and they're still missing, I believe, Rupe Hintz. I think he's injured. I'm not sure when he's planning on returning. or if at all. But then you look at their back end, and their back end, while they're still great, like Lindell, Heiskanen, Harley, Lundqvist, Bichelle, Myers. I see them more as a well-rounded back end with big guys that can eat a lot of minutes. The only difference between that and Minnesota is I think Minnesota has the offensive edge on the back end with Quinn Hughes
Yeah.
and Brock Faber. I also give the edge in goaltending to Dallas there with Ottinger. So I think this is gonna, for me, I don't know about you, but is gonna come down to what team's goalie steals the show. I think for
Yeah.
me, and I mean Ottinger showed over the years that he sometimes struggles, but sometimes can steal a game. In your opinion, if you're Minnesota, if Gustafsson is struggling, if he even is the starter, I don't know if they even announced the starter, but they've kind of rotated back and forth. You had Wallstedt and you had Gustafsson. Gustafsson kind of took over the reins for most of the season. But do you pull the trigger and switch to Wallstedt if you need to right away,
I
kind
think
of thing?
I think you have to be prepared too, right? Like
Right.
if Gustafsson has a stinker of a game or a rough start, like you have to be willing to throw Wallstedt in there. I understand he's a rookie, but he put up some good numbers. When they relied on him for stretches this year, he was very reliable. He played good for them.
Yeah.
You got to be able to pull that trigger because that's where they're lacking in this matchup. Ottinger's the best goalie here, I think.
Mm-hmm.
I think Ottinger, coming off the Olympics and stuff, wasn't the starting goalie, but got that feel around that team and knows what winning's like. You've seen it in previous playoffs. He kind of doesn't shrink to the occasion, usually rises up. I guess, again, except against Edmonton. But outside of that, he's been really good in playoffs. Minnesota needs to figure it out to be able to have their goalies match him. That's their biggest question.
I agree with that. And it also, I guess it comes down to, which superstars kind of take over this up front too, because we mentioned some of Dallas' superstars up front, but, Kaprizov and Matt Boldy on the other side of the fence there, ain't
No,
nothing to
no
struggle
slouches.
with.
Yep.
Those slouches over there. And surprising to me, I don't know about you, but Ryan Hartman's been on an absolute heater as of late too. I don't know if anyone's kind of been paying attention to what he's been doing, but he's been on fire as of late. But I just look at the makeup of these teams, and it's going to be an absolute battle. I'm going to give the edge a little bit for me to Dallas, just based on the playoff experience too. Dallas has gone a little bit deeper in runs than Minnesota has. Minnesota seems to always kind of struggle sometimes with that. But then I think the main factor for me is going to be the goaltending and power play. Minnesota's power or penalty kill isn't that great, and Dallas's power play is one of the best in the league, if not the best. So I think that's what it's going to come down to me. I think it's going to be a special teams, and like you said, they got the Foligno brothers on Minnesota, and they're on the fourth line there with Michael McCarron. That's a big line, but that's also a line that could get taken advantage of or
For
could take
sure.
a lot of penalties. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah.
So
Victimize them for sure. Yeah.
yeah,
I think Minnesota needs Hughes to have a huge series. Like that's
yeah,
the big guy that they brought in. That's their
he's gonna
superstar.
have to step up. Yeah,
Kaprizov obviously is a superstar too, but I haven't seen Kaprizov really rise up in the playoffs yet. I'm hoping this year maybe he can do that. He's always good, don't get me wrong, but he doesn't like take over a game. I think their secret power is going to be Quinn Hughes from the back end, because whenever you can create that kind of offense from the defensive position,
there, yeah.
it's a superpower. So they're going to go as that guy goes offensively, and that's kind of what you've seen since he's moved over there. So that's the biggest thing for Minnesota, is being able to have him run the show for them and take advantage of that.
100%.
Dallas scares me a little bit with the injuries that they have. Like Bunting just came back from injury. I don't know how healthy he is. I know Rantanen's been dealing with something of late, back and forth with stuff. They don't have hints. I know he's supposed to be coming back at some point, but when? How healthy will he be?
Hintz is a big loss. Yeah, that's a big one for me
huge.
for that team. You have to it pushes because he plays center most of the time. He plays wing sometimes, but that Duchesne up into your second line center role, and then you have Fatska and Heronikin as your centerman there. Like it pushes everyone up the lineup, right? So if you
Yeah.
get Hintz back in there, I think Duchene's a perfect third line guy with Jamie Benn and Bunting. That's a disgustingly good third line. But right now, yeah, I agree. The injuries are going to be a little bit of an issue, maybe, but it'll be interesting to see how it kind of plays out if Hintz actually comes back or not. I think they need him more so down the line. I think they
Yeah.
can hopefully come out of this one. But
Manage
like you said
this.
at the very beginning of this for me is the best matchup in the West for the round one. I agree 100%. This is also one of the reasons why I hate the divisional matchups, because having these two juggernaut teams playing each other right now in the first round it's shitty. But it's going to be a bloodbath round. Who you pulling out of this one?
I think this series goes the distance. I think you're looking at a 7-game series, 6 for sure. I'm
Mhm.
thinking 7. I'm going to give the edge to the goaltender and in
Yeah.
Dallas, but it's not going to surprise me if Minnesota pulls this off at all.
100%. How many games are you going to do it to? 7, right?
Yeah, 7. Yeah,
Yeah,
I got
yeah.
7.
I'm gonna go same thing. I'm going 7 for Dallas. I agree with you 100%. I wouldn't be surprised if Minnesota pulls this out of the bag, but just the fact of that goaltending alone, you don't know what you're gonna get. But like I said, it's a wild card shot here. Like it could go either way for me, and I'm actually there's some teams I want to see get eliminated. You know what I mean? Like I don't care as much, but this is one of those matchups where I'd be happy either way, seeing either one of these teams get through. So let's head on to the next matchup here. This one's an interesting one for me too. Vegas versus the Utah Mammoth, and this is the first time Utah's making the playoffs. I'm pretty sure, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
So during the season here. Record 2-1-0 for Utah, 1-2-0 for Vegas. So the series of the season went to Utah. So once again, to the previous series here, very similar stat lines. Goals for 3.21 for Vegas, 3.27 for Utah. Goals against 2.98 for Vegas, 2.90 for Utah. Power play percentage 25% for Vegas, 20% Utah. PK 81.4 to 78%. So once again, another very similar matchup. For me on this one, it's a tough one. I do not like how Vegas has looked all year. In my opinion, they are very lucky to even be in the playoffs. You know, there was a bunch of stat lines for a long time through the season on how they haven't beat any like playoff teams for a certain period of time in the regular season. A lot of their wins came from extra time. Um, they haven't looked as the Vegas everyone seems to remember over the
Yeah.
last couple of years. That being said, playoffs are playoffs. They still have big name guys on this team: Marner, Eichel, Stone, Barbashev, Dorofeyev, Hurdle, Theodore on the back end, Anderson, and then your goaltenders. You got Hart and Hill. They have a couple injuries, but for the most part, they've been this team for the most time. They have Hannafin on the back end as well. So, like, they're a deep team that has playoff experience. And then you look at Utah side, where a lot of these guys probably haven't seen playoffs before. They're a very young team, but they're a fun team to
Yeah.
watch. They added Uyghur from Calgary there. You got Sugarchev on the back end. Nate Schmidt, who is a veteran, back on the back end. Up front, you have young, fun guys like Cooley, Gunther, Kraus, Keller. They added Paterka as well. They have a really spread out offense in Utah here with Schmaltz playing line one, Cooley playing line two. So they've spread out their offense pretty nicely. And their goaltending is the question mark for me. Vimjilenka and
Bill Melcliff. Yeah.
yeah, I'm 100% saying that wrong, and Vanek. So when I look at these two teams, I th- I would want Utah to win. I don't know if they can pull it off, but I want Utah to win. I think they're one of those new young fast teams that are starting to come up into the league now, and Vegas is an older team that's maybe getting on the slower end of things. That being said, I don't think Utah has anyone that can really match the offensive talent of Eichel, Marner, and Stone on that Vegas team there. So it'll come down to can Utah shut them down, or does Vegas shut themselves down? You know what I mean? What do you think?
Yeah, I think it's a very interesting matchup. Like Vegas is kind of old, right? Like they have the experience. A lot of the guys have been there. They're not bringing a ton of speed. They're going
They are a
to
slower
be
team, yeah.
a little bit heavy. Um, is that going to benefit them? I'm not sure. They've kind of been pretty bad this last half of the year until Torts took
Yeah.
over the last, 8 or so games.
Yeah.
He seemed to kind of get the fire lit under them and had them kind of buy into what he was doing right away. I think his coaching style is pretty close to uh, who they had there before, so it's not like it's changing up a bunch of stuff,
No.
but
We talked
just a
about it too.
different
It's a weird
voice.
firing
Yeah,
choice,
it was
but
definitely a weird fire and hire, but it seems to have worked for
yeah,
them so
it seems
far.
to have worked. Yeah, Torts is one of those guys that can get your team fired up. That's for sure. If
Yeah,
not, if not, you're bag skating the next day. So
yeah, exactly. Like he's gonna let you know about it. Their goaltending has been a problem this year. It's been pretty bad for a majority of the season.
yeah,
Neither guy bring a lot of confidence. You got one guy who's been out of hockey for 2.5 years with some charges that we're just not going to get into at this time.
yeah,
And another guy in Aiden Hill who had one good playoff run and everyone thought he was great and he hasn't been the number one since.
yeah.
So, yeah, I honestly, I like Utah's speed. I like their youth, their energy. I like what they bring as a lineup. I like the skill. Gunther has a heck of a shot. Keller's been in the league for a long time. He kind of knows how to lead this team, it seems like.
Mm-hmm.
He seems like the right captain for them. You got Cooley, who's really fun to watch. Their back end in Sergachev, like he brings some juice for sure. And he's been there, right? He's gone on a few runs with Tampa. He knows what it takes. He'll be able to give some veteran leadership there. Vemelka's had a sneaky good year for them too. In that, like they're in Utah, you don't really talk about them. He's been pretty decent.
They've been a quiet team just because it's the Utah Mammoth. They're not really in the spotlight that often, but they have had a really good sneaky year. Like to build on what you were saying there, Jordan, like if they didn't hire Tortorella for Vegas, I would have been 100% on the Utah train for this one. But Vegas is coming very hot into the playoffs. They're 7-0-3 in their last 10, win streak at 3, and Utah 6-4-0. Like whatever Torts does to really get a team going, he does well. The way I look at this, you can correct me if I'm wrong or what you think, but I think that Vegas might have the more high-end talent with the playoff experience, and maybe I would kind of lean with them for depth-wise as well. But Utah has like the young kid jitters, basically, if there's a best way to put it. I give them the edge in goaltending and the edge in speed and game. So it could go either way for me. What do you think?
Yeah, like I I'm just not a fan of Vegas. I haven't been for a while. They came in, they kind of got gift wrapped as a great team when they came into the league, make the cup finals, like just instantly a contender. And the way they do business there, it's the right way. I mean, it's good for hockey. You know, they've been able to work around the cap and all this stuff with the LTIR and
Yeah.
all that. Like, right? They've been masterclass at doing it, but it makes me not like them.
Yep.
So with a heart pick, I'm going Utah. I'm going Utah in 6, and going with the youth, the more fun to watch. I just want some fresh blood in there.
That's fair. I'm agreeing with you. I'm going Utah, but I'm going Utah in 5. I think
Nice.
I think that Utah is going to surprise the hell out of Vegas here. I think that Vegas is not going to not underestimate them, but they're just not going to coming out. I am going to give Vegas kind of just give it a little more depth look. I think Vegas wins game 1 of this. You know, young team on Utah. The jitters are going to be there. The nervousness is going to be there. But when they settle down, I think they'll take control real quick, real fast too. And that being said, you know, you can never rule out Eichel and even Hurdle. Hurdle's playing on the third line right now, but that guy has had some huge.
He hasn't been very good this year.
He hasn't, but he can break out at any point in time. So I'm not ruling Vegas out, but I am. I'm going Utah on this one here. And then that'll bring us to our final matchup of the West, which is the Edmonton Oilers versus the Anaheim Ducks. And this one wasn't. I think this was finalized the last night of the NHL, right? It
Yep.
took a little bit longer for this one to be finalized. A lot of movement could have happened in those things. Like I said, the division was very lopsided with who was strong and who wasn't. Um, for the records of this one, Edmonton was 2-1-0 this year against Anaheim. Goals for Edmonton with 3.41 and a goals for Anaheim of 3.21. Goals against for Edmonton though 3.26. Goals against for Anaheim 3.51. And this is one of the big deciding factors for me in this series. During the power play percentage, 30% for Edmonton. I think that's top in
Yeah.
the league. 18.6% for the Anaheim Ducks, and both of them have abysmal penalty kills. So 77.7 for Edmonton and 76.9 for Anaheim. So when I look at that, I basically just see Anaheim needs to take 0 penalties at this
Yeah.
point, because if they put this team on the power play, they're getting scored on.
Yeah. If
Looking
you looked
quickly at
at
the
that,
team, yeah, go ahead.
if you looked at that and said Anaheim had an 87, 88% penalty kill, they're one of the top in the league, you feel a little bit better about it. But because their
100%.
penalty kill is so bad, it's like, going up against this team, I don't know if you can take any penalties.
I agree. And I look at this matchup, and I don't want to like shit on Anaheim too much. I just don't believe in them as of yet. I think they're a younger team. They have a lot of young players in there. And I look at Edmonton's side, and even without Draisaitl in the lineup, I'm giving the edge to Draisaitl. I don't know when Draisaitl plans on returning, but if and he's still semi-injured, and I go up 2 games on Anaheim, I think about not even rushing him back at that point.
Yeah.
Why risk it, kind of thing,
Yeah.
right? Especially if Anaheim's going to be taking penalties, and their penalty kill is not the greatest, they're not going to be able to shut down the offense that Edmonton has. And you look at, I think Hyman played last game. They played last night. And I watched a little bit of that game, and they did, once they got their league, they did start to shelter their players like McDavid and Bouchard more. But that first line of McDavid, Hyman, and Savoy
Yeah.
looked amazing last night. And if they continue to ride that high into the playoffs, they might. It'll be a pretty stellar line to have, especially when you look at it and you got Hopkins and Draisaitl in your lineup a little bit farther down now. But it's funny because I look at these lines, and as a guy that I'm a Montreal fan, so I watch the East more so you don't get to watch these West teams a little bit. So there's a lot of names in here that, I mean, I don't even recognize. But for me, the big question mark will be goaltending. I think Anaheim has the edge in goaltending, but I think Edmonton has the edge in everything else besides maybe defensive game. They struggle a lot. Like they let in a
Yeah.
lot of goals. But I mean, so did Anaheim. So this could be a very high scoring series at the end of the day.
Yeah. I mean, Edmonton, like Draisaitl, if he was healthy down the stretch here, they're first in the Pacific, right? Like, I don't
Yeah.
think it's really that close.
No, Vegas is nothing.
They had to deal with it without their second best player and still finished second. I think they can probably beat Anaheim without him. He is on the ice. He's skating. I don't know how close he is. I heard at some point in this round he could come back. But like you said, if you get up 2 games,
Why bother?
why?
Yeah.
Right? Rest him. Let him wait. Like,
unless if he's 100%, sure, whatever. Then put him in the game. But if it's like, oh, he could return, then in my opinion, if you're up 2 games in this series and he could return, I'm not risking it. Like, you're clearly handling the job without him. Bring him in the next rounds when you're going to really need it. You're going to be versing a really fast Utah team or a really veteran build of Vegas next round. So that's when you're really going to need him.
Yeah, don't bring him in at 75, 80% when you have the lead in the series, and let him rest and get closer to 100 and be good. Like, they put this top line together with Hyman and this Savoie, and Savoie has really taken off on McDavid's wing over the last month or so. Seems to be like a really good link with McDavid. They kind of know where each other are. He plays well.
They're
off
starting
of
to
him.
build it, yeah.
Like,
He's got 8 points, I think, in his last 10 games. He's starting to really get the groove beside him.
Yep.
So
I think he brings some speed. He's able to skate a little bit with McDavid, which no one else has really been able to do. Obviously not to the same extent, but he's able to kind of keep pace.
He keeps pace, though, yeah.
Yeah, Bouchard, I think, as much as people hate on him and how bad his defensive game is, he is a game changer.
He's an offensive juggernaut, yeah.
Yeah, he's a game changer. He's got the Bouch bomb. He's just going to unload it from the point and get one through. Like, he probably has 4 goals in this first round just from slap shots on the power play. Like,
he's got 13 points in the last 10 games. Like, the guy's a point machine. And out of those, everyone keeps on, I'm just going to say it because everyone calls him a power play merchant. And while I agree to that to an extent, out of those 13 points in 10 games, only 3 of them are coming on the power play as of right now. So he's putting up 5-on-5 stats as well. He's eating a huge amount of ice time. 24 and a half minutes of ice time is what he had it's average in the last 10 games there. And to your point, Jordan, like if you look at the rest of that defensive back end, no one's putting up points. In the last 10 games, Bouchard's almost outscoring. Actually, I think he is outscoring almost he is. So Ekholm's got 3 assists in the last 10 games. Nurse has 3 assists in the last 10 games. Murphy has 3 assists in the last 10 games. You got Wallman with 1 assist and Emerson with nothing. So Bouchard alone is outscoring everybody by himself there. Yeah. He's at a pivotal key to this team's success, whether you want to admit it or not. So it's going to be hard to shut these guys down if you're Anaheim, but they're no slouch on that end either. They did make a great ad with John Carlson. They have, in my opinion, some big hitters on this team, which might throw Edmonton off their game. We've seen in the past Edmonton struggles sometimes when you come at them with the physical side. And, you look up and down this lineup here, and you got Carlson, you got Seneca, who's come out of this year as a rookie doing really well. Gautier's doing well. Troy Terry's having a good season. And then you add Carlson on your back end to balance out already Lacombe, and then you have Trouba as well. And of course, we all know, we've talked about it before. You got Radko Gudas there as well. So we all know what Radko Gudas is going to bring to this series is going to be probably some dirty, cheap shots. So you're going to have to really manage your ice time too for Edmonton. Like I'm keeping McDavid and those guys away from that guy as much as possible. Even though you would want that matchup because McDavid could twist Gudas around 18 different times.
Like
but
you want him out there.
Time. Yeah, but it's the one time that Gudas gets a good clean hit on him. It might not be exactly the cleanest. You know what I mean? So it's up. It's interesting to see how they're going to match these teams up. I mean, I think Edmonton has the depth overall, and obviously they have the offensive firepower over Anaheim. Going into the playoffs as well, Edmonton is actually coming in pretty odd at 6-2-2, and Anaheim has just looked awful.
Anaheim's been bad of late, right? Like they barely stumbled and tripped and fell down the stretch here.
If anyone else won games, they probably would be on the out looking in. It's just no one in that area is just winning anything at the end of the year. They're all just getting killed. So,
I think it's a little bit of a worry, like you said, with Trouba and Gudas back there. Both guys are mean, look to throw big hits. They want to hurt you when they hit, and both guys don't really care if it's the cleanest of hits. Gudas, I felt bad about the Matthews hit knee on knee, comes out and fights in Toronto. Guarantee you he'll do that exact same thing again if he has a chance in this Edmonton series.
Oh, we already learned that there's no punishments basically for it from the player safety department. Yeah. So, even if there is, who's going to argue that? Oh, Gudas got suspended for 4 games, but he took out McDavid with him. Like, whoop-de-diddle do. You know what I mean? Right? I think Edmonton needs to be careful with that as well. I agree.
And Trouba in playoffs past has a history of throwing pretty big borderline hits. I don't know if you remember a few years ago, he had that one on Crosby that gave him a concussion where he missed a couple games. He had another one against Carolina with the Rangers. Like he always throws those kind of hits at some point in a series. You just have to hope it's not on your, key guys. And that's why I think if you can keep Draisaitl out of it and win without him, you do that. This team is fun to watch, though. Like Seneca is fun. Cutter Gauthier has a ton of skill. Great shot. Leo Carlson is going to be a top 15 center in this league someday. They kind of remind me of Montreal from last year, where very young, probably a little bit ahead of what was projected for them this year. Like you thought they might battle to get into the playoffs, but they might not get there. They're a little bit ahead of they're a little bit ahead of what you probably expected them of. So as long as they can put up a fight, you're probably, as an Anaheim fan, you're probably happy.
I agree. I agree with that. I'm also I'm giving the experience, obviously, nod to Edmonton. They've been in this before. They know what they're doing, and McDavid's probably more motivated than ever. I'm going Edmonton with this in 5 games, just because of I'm sure Anaheim's going to be fun to watch. They're going to have some great plays. They're going to gain a lot of experience in this. I just don't think they can withstand the star power of Edmonton. And I just don't think that they could shut down McDavid for the whole series. And even if they do, I'm sure Draisaitl's coming back or Hopkins is there. You know what I mean? There's too much star power on that end.
Yeah, Edmonton's been too hot down the stretch here. They know when to turn it on. They've been here before. You kind of just expect them to get into their, comfort zone and roll in this series. I think Dostal can maybe steal a game for Anaheim. Are they going to be able to score a bunch on Ingram?
Yeah, I don't know. Too. What goalie shows up for Edmonton, right? Like that's a true point too.
That's a big question. Yeah,
they brought Jari in thinking he was the answer, and it looks like he's the backup, and Ingram's taking the reins, right? Like that's a big factor. What goaltender shows up?
Yeah, and so I think that's a big point. But as long as they get half decent goaltending, I'm also going with Edmonton. I actually have it in 6. I think Anaheim will get one stolen with Dostal, and I think maybe they can squeak out a high-scoring game at some point that really pisses off McDavid, and maybe he has an outburst with the media after it.
Another meltdown in the locker room or the media. Yeah, that's fair. Well, those are the West teams. Any last things you want to add to the West side here, Jordan, before we close this one off and move on to the East?
Not a ton. It sucks that all these games are going to be so late. I love my favorite team to watch in playoff hockey is the Oilers. I just love being able to watch McDavid at the highest, most important time of year, and you have to stay up so late to watch them, which is unfortunate.
Yeah.
But ultimately, in this round, there's not a lot in the West that excites me. I'm not super pumped for any of these series. Dallas, Minnesota, probably the most interesting, but I have no invested interest there. I don't really love watching either team. So, yeah, there's not a lot there for me.
Yeah. It's also funny. Edmonton doesn't even start till Monday. Going back to the schedule, I don't know. These schedules just they don't make a lot of sense to me. But I agree. I think the best series to watch in this West side is going to be Dallas, Minnesota. If you're a Colorado fan, I mean, you could probably skip round 1. That being said, crazier things have happened. There's been crazy. It's the playoffs. Anything can happen, but I don't know. I don't think anyone's going to stop Colorado coming out of the West. Jordan, if we're just talking about first round, but if you have to pick a team coming out of the West, who you got?
It's hard. It's hard for me to bet against McDavid and Draisaitl. Sure. If Draisaitl is healthy or close to it, like you've seen them get there with him not 100% before a couple of years ago. If he's not 100% healthy, McDavid can still kind of do what he needs to do and get them there, and it's enough. But this Colorado team is so deep. There's so many centers there. The only thing that scares me is that their second round matchups either going to be Dallas or Minnesota, and that's going to be a bloodbath. Yeah. Nice thing for Colorado is they have the Kings in the first round, so shouldn't be a big stressful one there. I will go Edmonton though. I think those who's going to face. Yeah, I think it'll be Colorado, Edmonton. I'm going to take Edmonton. Yeah.
Good. What's your dark horse?
Dark horse, Utah. I think Utah would be my dark horse. If they could get on a roll and kind of play loose and free and have that speed really take over games, I think they could actually be a pretty scary team that people maybe a little bit underestimate. So I think they might be fun to watch and hopefully can actually put a little bit of a run here together.
Yeah, I'm gonna go Colorado coming out of the West there. President's Trophy curse, I think, is not going to matter this year at all. I think Colorado's rolling right through. And my dark horse, I mean, they're not really a dark horse, but they are because no one's really given them of a credit, is I'm going Minnesota. They have the hardest path right to the finals. They had to go through Dallas
100%.
and then most likely going through Colorado. So that's my dark horse. So that'll wrap up the West. We'll put a pin in that. We'll see how these all play out. If you guys want to hear our thoughts on the East, hop on over to episode 7. Thanks for listening, everyone.